Chance to go and see something really special. One of my members took me to breakfast and said, I want to show you my wife's business. And so we went over to see his wife's business. The children work there now, and the wife is more or less retired, but not exactly. She never will be completely. And the business is the West Georgia Plumbing Supply Company. And it was founded by Shirley Weatherington here in our church. And it's an interesting story. She founded it in 1983. After many years of working in the plumbing supply business. The interesting thing about it is she had worked in plumbing supply. She had actually owned part of one, sold it, decided she was going to stay home, went home, and was miserable. She did not want to sit around the house. She wanted to do something. So Jim Weatherington said, Shirley, just go do what you want to do. She said, well, I want to start this business, but it's a man's world. Said, it's a place where nobody's going to take me seriously. You know, other than Josephine the plumber from the old comic commercials, who in the world ever thinks about a woman being a plumber at that point? And so he said, well, just go for it. If that's where your heart is. She said, well, my heart really is in this. And so she started her business. And sure enough, her worst fears were realized. The plumbing supply people would come and say, it's good to see you, ma'am. May we meet the man that really owns the business, please? The plumbers would come and say, well, this is all well and good, but could we meet the guy that owns the place, please? And she said, I own this place. And it was so hard for her to break through that barrier. This is not a feminist statement at all. It's an interesting conclusion. So she sat down and she kept thinking about it. Her heart was in it, and she couldn't just give up and go home. She couldn't just shut the thing down and not do it. So you know what she did? She took her best home skills and her best business acumen, and she merged them together. And you know what it looks like when you merge home skill with business acumen? It looks like a sausage biscuit. It's exactly what it looks like. She went home and made 30 sausage biscuits and carried them in on Monday and put a pot of coffee and sausage biscuits on the counter. And finally got somebody to come in and ate a sausage biscuit. Well, evidently plumbers don't keep their mouths shut, because he went and told somebody else about the sausage biscuits and the coffee, and so another one came. And then the plumbing supply people came, and before they tried to sell, she sat him down and gave him a sausage biscuit and a cup of coffee. And suddenly, they had a lot of business, because they had sausage biscuits and a pot of coffee. And then others within the business started bringing things the other days. And so what happened was, she put her heart into it. Whatever I need to do, I'm going to do this. And do you know that that company is thriving? Her children have now been a part of it for 32 years. Shirley has, like I said, basically retired from it, but not exactly. She still carries her 30 sausage biscuits on Mondays, and other people carry things the other days. And now 50,000 biscuits by count later, 50,000 biscuits, sausage biscuits later. The business still runs. Now, the reason it runs is because her heart was so much into it. She was not willing to give up. She was determined to keep the thing going, and she was determined to do whatever it took to make it work. To me, that's a beautiful story of one who put their heart into it. What would happen if we put that kind of heart into everything that God told us to do? What miracles would we experience if we really put our hearts into our prayers and really believed with all of our hearts? And
we invite you to join us each Sunday morning at 11 for the live worship service.